This podcast is brought to you by Three Rivers Energy Partners. In today's episode of Digest This.
Renewable natural gas, used as fuel in on-road natural gas vehicles across the United States, has increased by 94%.
Lululemon has a science-based target to cut their greenhouse gas emissions intensity by 60% by 2030.
It's a shift from greenwashing to fundamental risk management.
Welcome to Digest This, Unpacking Our Sustainable Future, where we dive deep into the latest developments in sustainability and renewable energy. Join us in exploring the pioneering solutions and technologies that are shaping our future. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Nick, and I'm here with Emily. Emily, I have to share a number from a report by the Transport Project that completely blew me away. In 2025, the use of renewable natural gas used as fuel in on-road natural gas vehicles across the United States has increased by 94% over the past 5 years. 94%.
That is an astonishing milestone, Nick. Think about that. A 94% increase in a renewable fuel category. Out of 806 million gallons used in motor vehicles that year, 755 million came from organic waste. That is a massive structural shift in heavy transport.
It is. What really grabs me is the sheer speed of this transition. It grew 13% over 2024, but if you look back to 2021, RNG usage has shot up by 94%. We are talking about nearly doubling the volume in just 4 years. Fleet managers aren't just dipping their toes in anymore. They are diving headfirst because it actually makes business sense.
And the climate science behind this is where it gets truly fascinating. In California's Low Carbon Fuel Standard program, the annual average carbon intensity value for their bio-CNG vehicle fuel portfolio in 2025 hit negative 198.32 grams of CO2 equivalent per megajoule. That is deep into carbon negative territory, well below zero.
Negative 198.32. Just so we're clear, normal fossil diesel has a positive carbon intensity score of around 90 or 100. So getting to nearly negative 200 means we aren't just reducing emissions, we are actively pulling carbon out of the loop. How does a fuel mathematically get below zero like that?
It's all about fugitive emissions. Think about agricultural operations, like massive dairy farms or food waste landfills. Left alone, that organic matter decomposes and spews raw methane straight into the atmosphere. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, dozens of times more destructive than CO2 over a short time frame. When we capture that methane above ground and refine it into RNG, we are stopping a massive climate hit before it even happens.
Right. You are intercepting the problem at the source. And then, from a logistics perspective, you compress it and run it through a standard CNG truck engine. There is no waiting around for a hypothetical nationwide hydrogen network or waiting for battery technology to magically solve the weight issue for long-haul Class 8 trucks. It runs on existing domestic distribution networks today.
Exactly. And the sheer physical impact is staggering. That level of RNG usage in 2025 displaced 11.01 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The Transport Project put that into perspective. It's like removing the emissions from 28 billion miles driven by average passenger cars or growing 182 million tree seedlings for 10 years.
And let's look at the financial side of this. In 2025, with all the global instability and diesel prices fluctuating wildly, RNG provided price stability. It's a domestic resource. Dan Gage, the president of the Transport Project, emphasized that RNG is a reliable, proven, and highly affordable alternative to diesel. It takes the geopolitical risk out of the fuel tank.
It's a beautiful closed-loop system. You clean up agricultural runoff and landfill emissions, create a stable revenue stream for farmers, and run heavy transport on clean domestic fuel. But as massive as this progress is in transportation, the corporate world is realizing that cleaning up their own vehicles is only a tiny fraction of their total carbon footprint.
That is the ultimate corporate headache, isn't it? Scope 3 emissions. You can purchase solar panels for your corporate headquarters in Vancouver or buy renewable energy certificates for your retail stores. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. For an apparel giant, the real emissions are happening thousands of miles away in the factories weaving fabric and sewing garments.
Absolutely. The greenhouse gas footprint of sourcing raw materials, manufacturing, and global shipping is where the battle is won or lost. Lululemon has a science-based target to cut their greenhouse gas emissions intensity by 60% by 2030 from a 2018 baseline. And to actually move the needle on that, they had to go straight to their manufacturing hub in mainland China.
Which brings us to their latest move, investing in a dedicated renewable energy fund managed by Schroders Capital's infrastructure team. This isn't just about buying unbundled renewable energy certificates, or RECs, which a lot of sustainability advocates criticize as a greenwashing paper shuffling exercise. This is a direct equity investment to build physical wind and solar assets in China.
This is a massive strategic shift. They are projecting their suppliers' electricity usage out to 2030, and this fund is designed to build enough new clean capacity to match 100% of that electricity demand with renewable power. We are talking about adding real physical megawatts to the Chinese grid.
That is the key concept, additionality. If you just buy a standard REC, you might just be claiming credit for a wind turbine that was built 10 years ago. But by deploying capital into a fund that is actively developing late-stage wind and solar projects, Lululemon is ensuring that new clean energy is actually online. In fact, some of the wind projects funded by this initiative are already underway and slated to finish later this year.
It shows a level of maturity in corporate climate action. Noel Kinder, the Senior Vice President of Sustainability at Lululemon, mentioned that decarbonizing supply chains requires completely new ways of thinking about capital and scale. They are pooling demand to reduce complexity and accelerate actual construction.
And Schroders Capital is a heavy hitter here. Their advisor on this, Schroders Greencoat, is one of the largest pure-play renewable energy infrastructure managers in the world. They know how to navigate the complex logistics of building large-scale wind and solar farms. It's a highly sophisticated financial play to solve a physical supply chain problem.
It is, but navigating the local regulatory landscapes in major manufacturing hubs is incredibly difficult. You can't just call up an energy provider in a foreign province and sign a simple power purchase agreement like you might do in Texas or Ohio.
That is a massive hurdle for multinational brands. China is the world's largest renewable energy market, but the procurement systems are highly regionalized, fragmented, and governed by strict local rules. A medium-sized textile factory in Zhejiang province doesn't have the legal team or the balance sheet to negotiate a complex long-term power purchase agreement.
And that's where this aggregated fund model shines. Instead of expecting hundreds of individual Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers to clean up their own energy procurement, the brand pools the capital at the top. They use Schroders Capital to build the infrastructure, clean up the local grid, and then pass those environmental attributes down to the factories.
It's brilliant because many of these factories are shared. A knitting mill in Jiangsu might make fabric for Lululemon, but also for 3 other global athletic brands. If Lululemon cleans up that local grid, those other brands benefit too. It's moving from isolated, company-level targets to ecosystem-wide decarbonization.
And we are seeing this collaborative model expand. Lululemon isn't doing this in a vacuum. They are partnering with organizations like the Apparel Impact Institute, the Asia Clean Energy Coalition, and the Clean Energy Procurement Academy. They are trying to build a blueprint so other brands can pool their capital into similar funds.
It's a practical, collective solution to a systemic problem. If 3 different brands are sourcing from the same industrial park and they all pool their capital into a regional wind farm, they get economies of scale that would be completely impossible if they tried to act individually. It changes the economics of supply chain decarbonization entirely.
And it shifts the role of the sustainability department. It's no longer just about writing a nice sustainability report once a year. It requires deep collaboration with finance, legal, and procurement teams to structure these infrastructure investments. It's hard capital allocation.
This is the point I really want to hammer home. There is this popular narrative in the financial press right now that corporate sustainability is in retreat because of high interest rates and economic uncertainty. But when you look at these 2 examples, RNG increasing by 94% in the gas transport market, and Lululemon investing in infrastructure funds in China, it tells a completely different story.
Exactly. The superficial PR-driven initiatives might be getting trimmed, but serious strategic capital is actually becoming more integrated and resilient. Companies are moving away from easy, reputational quick fixes and investing in hard assets that provide long-term cost stability and mitigate real regulatory risk.
Yes, it's a shift from greenwashing to fundamental risk management. If you are a logistics company, switching to RNG isn't just about looking good. It's about protecting yourself from diesel price shocks. If you are a global apparel brand, investing in Chinese solar is about ensuring your supply chain can survive future carbon taxes and import regulations like Europe's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism.
And that creates a durable competitive advantage. The companies that are actively building this physical infrastructure today are the ones that will have low-carbon, highly resilient operations tomorrow. They aren't waiting for governments to pass perfect policies. They are actively financing the transition of the global supply networks they rely on.
That is the future of sustainable business. It's about moving the physical molecules, whether that's capturing methane from a dairy digester in Iowa or pouring concrete for a wind turbine foundation in China. The transition is happening, and it's being driven by hard strategic capital.
Well said, Nick. It's an exciting shift to watch and a necessary one. That's all the time we have for today's episode. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to Digest This, Unpacking Our Sustainable Future, a Three Rivers Energy Partners podcast. Three Rivers Energy Partners is a renewable energy company that empowers organizations with the ability to create a sustainable future by converting organic waste streams into renewable energy and resources. To get the latest episode of Digest This, or to find out more about Three Rivers Energy Partners, visit threeriversenergy.com or find us on LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. The sustainable future is being created right now. Keep exploring and keep up to speed with the latest in renewable energy and sustainability. See you next time.